So this will be the second video on our in-depth ETL tutorial. Okay, so when we start off, we'll navigate to the ETL module. You can do so by clicking this 3 lines at the top, followed by ETL. This will bring us to the ETL management page. What we can do is, if you are starting off fresh and you have no ETL in your management panel, you can press Add, and then this will allow you to create your first ETL. So if you select Add and then you give it a name, let's say Test, then you press OK, it will then straight away send you to that ETL page that you just created. But for the purpose of this tutorial, I'll show you one that I've already created. So to navigate to the ETL, you created one already, and then you left the page. Okay, what happens is, if you want to go back in, what you need to do is you need to hover over to the button for Open. So there are 4 buttons over here. One is Edit, which allows you to change the name of the ETL, enable or disable it, or share it with other roles and users in the same system. You also have the option to download. So this download allows you to download the entire ETL chain set to be sent to a colleague. Lastly, we have the delete button, so you can delete the chain set away. So for this tutorial, I'll be going into one of the pre-existing ETL that we've created before. So I just need to click on Open. So the basics of the ETL is, you first have your chain set name at the top, followed by the chains, followed by any steps within the chain. Right now I've not selected any chain, so you don't see any steps. And also the output. So output is a little bit like a history of all the chains that have been run in the past. You see that I have 99 chains run, because actually what I did was I set this up with a scheduler, so it just runs automatically every minute. And finally, you have your results. So they're all interlinked in a hierarchy. So you first start off at the chain level. So you select your chain, let's say A read API, okay, and then immediately you see that the steps have been populated. Now on the right side, you then have your output. So the output is what happens when you actually run that particular chain. So in this case, you see C join chains bracket 99. This actually means that this exact chain, C join chain, has been run 99 times. Okay, you can of course, once you click onto them, it'll show you the results. Okay, so there are then 4 buttons over here. The first one shows you the data output. The second shows you the logs, okay, how long everything elapsed, and of course the third one allows you to open it in a new tab. Then of course there's the more options for you to download the logs. So next thing we're going to talk about is creating your chains. Now the chains are the most left column, and to first create your chain, you click the Add Chain button, and then give it a prefix. Okay, so the chains sort themselves alphabetically, so you give it a prefix in order to order them or group them accordingly. So let's say the next one is D my new chain. Okay, you can press copy from chain to duplicate all the steps within that copied chain, but in this case we'll be adding a blank chain. So I press OK. Now I'm in the brand new chain. So now we will add a new step. To do that, we just need to hover over to the plus sign beside the steps column and then click on it. Okay, and you will see that we have a search bar at the top. So this search bar is very useful for when you have a particular step in mind and you know the name of it. You can actually search. For example, we search for subtract. Okay, then this will list out all the different matches for you, and also the relevant category that they are in. Okay, we can of course clear this using the reset button. Now note that this search applies to both category and the action or steps itself. To elaborate more on the category basically contains all the steps to be found in a particular category. So for example, if you want to connect to MySQL database, then you probably download a JDBC driver, right? And then so if you want to do some actions on it, click JDBC, and then you'll see that you have the various steps associated with it. Okay, clicking on any of the actions will populate the help box. So the help box actually is there to give you more details on that particular step. So you'll be able to read some information on it. What's the structure necessary, the input that you require, and any other description of the parameters, followed by the output. If this is the step that you want to add, you just need to go ahead and click add. Okay. You can add a few steps at once. So for example, we want to add in an Excel reader, Excel definition, then an Excel reader, right? You can press add multiple times to give you more steps. Okay. Then what we want to do is we want to press close. Now this will bring you to a window called edit step. Now it's very important that you do not press cancel, because at this point if you press cancel, all of the steps will disappear as they had not been initialized yet. So we're going to add them back in. Okay. So we add definition followed by reader. Okay. So you'll see that you have your steps. You need to input the URL. This URL can be from an online source or from your local file directory. Then indicate a sheet name and so on. Once you're done, press next to go on to edit the next step. So the next step is just a reader step, so there isn't any specific configuration that you need to do. So once you have cycled through all the ETL steps that you've just added, the save button will appear. And then you can press save, and then now there will be a dialog window telling you ETL saved, and you see that the steps are remaining rather than just now it disappears completely. So next thing you want to do is you want to learn how to edit the steps. So if you saw just now, so even if you do not add in any correct parameters, cycling through next repeatedly until you reach the end allows you to press save. So if you have done that, you will now need to go back and edit them one by one. So just click on the particular step that you want to edit, and you'll notice that a pencil button has appeared. So click on the pencil, and then you will be able to reconfigure the steps. At the same time, you also notice that there is a category at the top telling you which category the ETL came from, what is the step type, in this case XLSX definition, and a default step name that mirrors the step type. So if you want to change the name to make it a little bit more descriptive, we can go ahead and change it here. So let's say you want to change your step name to XLSX definition 1, right? You can do so. Once you press save, you will see that the step name has changed. Now I'm going to go over to my pre-existing ETL chain to show you some of the other features. So in order to run your chain once you have created them, what you will want to do is you want to press run steps. This will cycle through all the steps and then run and give you your output like so. Okay, and you will note that it will say a read API because this is the chain that I've run. Now, what if you want to debug and you don't want to run every single step in the chain? So instead you want to run them one at a time. That's also possible. So what we can do is we just click on the particular step and then hover over to this play button with a line, right? And if you hover over it, it will tell you run to step. Now this means that clicking on this will run up to this step and then stop. So because this is the first one, it only runs the first step. Now if I click on the second one, okay, it will run URL reader and then JSON reader before stopping, like so. Now I can do the same midway through if I want. So you'll run all the way until integer subtract field and then stopping before equal value. The next thing we want to look at is step sequences. So the steps run in order, and if they are not in order, they might not work properly. So one thing you want to do is click on more actions, okay, and over here you can move the steps down, up, move it to the bottom, move it to the top, set the color, set the icon. You can do the same for chains in terms of setting colors and icons. So setting colors allow you to easily differentiate any particular steps that you wish to highlight or draw your attention to. You can also disable steps that are no longer necessary, or those that you want to disable them temporarily just for debugging purposes. Okay, here you can also do your deletes, and you can turn on debug logging on for if that particular step is giving you a lot of trouble and you're unable to figure out why. Okay, so the last and probably one of the more unique features that we have is under your chains. If you click more actions, you'll be able to see this button called explain. So clicking explain will actually give you textual reference for all the steps within a chain. So the first three that we have just created, for example, they do not have any steps, so you don't see any content. But if you look at, for example, a read API, it describes for you in detail what are the steps being used, and also what are the configurations and parameters that have been added in. Now this is very useful because if you are searching for a particular field, let's say, if one of your fields are broken or missing, you might want to do a simple search here, right? And then you will be able to find where that field has been manipulated or transformed, right? So searching for total lots by using the browser search shows me that this particular field called total lots has been called 3 times in 3 different ETL steps. If there is any issue over there, I can quickly find the problem. That wraps up the UI interface of the ETL. So these 2 videos have now wrapped up the basics of the ETL. In the next couple of videos, we'll be going through some ETL examples,